Since the murders of Kamarian Wilder and KyShawn Pittman in December of 2022, Brent Kohlhofer has not spoken publicly about the case, a case that resulted in a life sentence with no chance at parole. But recently, he spoke with us for 45 minutes inside the Lebanon Correctional Institution. His attorney was present and on a couple of occasions asked Brent to clarify statements, but he did not stop him from answering any questions, and he did not request that we avoid any topics. This is his side of the story, a side that many people may not agree with, but we are providing the entire interview for people to view so they can form their own opinion. We're rolling? Good? All right, Brent, let's start with 2022. Just tell me where you were in your life at that point. What was going on? Where were you working? Where were you living? What was happening back in like September or October?
September, October. Working, I do bounce houses, and I own a couple rental properties, so that's mainly my main focus of the day is making sure my properties is up to par. People are paying rent. I'm taking care of the houses. I'm doing that stuff. On the weekends is more of a bounce house rental thing. September, October, not too much in bounce house situation because it's more of a summer gig. And that's basically it.
Yeah. How would you describe your life? Personally, like where were you? How was life going at that point?
Life is good. Financially, I'm pretty stable. I travel, I do what I need to do when I need to do it. I don't really have no complaints. I'm not behind on my bills. I'm looking to build my housing market and my future with my family.
So, KyShawn, you actually knew him at that point, right? You used to work on something.
Yeah.
So, talk about your relationship with him.
KyShawn been around every day for months at a time, days at a time for 6, 7, 8 months. Maybe even up to a year or two before all this happened. Like on a regular basis, he's always around. He's always at my mother's house. He's always walking up and down the streets, going to the other kids' house in the neighborhood. He's over playing basketball. He works with me in the morning times if I need help on the weekends to doing the bounce houses. He helps my nephews cut the grass. Goes on the boat with us. He's been to car shows with me. He's always around.
So you had a personal relationship with him?
Of course. He stays at my mom's house 4 nights out the week, 5 nights out the week, sometimes weeks at a time. He's at my mom's house. Yes, he goes home and takes a shower and does what he does, but they are at my mom's house on a regular basis. I make sure they got food over there to eat. Just in general, like he's just there. He's a kid, he's part of the family.
Yeah. So I think in November of 2022, maybe it's late October, I don't know, but there was an attempted break-in at your Patriot Drive house.
Yeah.
Can you just?
We was in.
Yeah. Good. Are you able? Can you just talk about what happened there?
We was in Florida. My phone went off. It said window was broken. I called home. Kid answered the phone. I said, "Is somebody in the house?" He said, "No, the alarm's going off." I said, "Check to see if the window's broken." He said it was. The alarm company was calling at the same time. My girlfriend's kid, Cameron, was there. The alarm company's calling. I answered the other line. I say, "Send the police," because I know Amber was at work. Boom. Police come. What happened. About an hour later, Chuck's camera system was going off, and they was doing the same thing. Broke a window out at Chuck's house, and we could see on the video exactly who it was.
Who was it?
His friend and their friend.
So it wasn't KyShawn, it wasn't Kamarian?
No, not even close.
I mean, you had to be, obviously we know the police confiscated stuff from the house
Yeah.
at that point. You know, like, I think $60,000 in weed and,
I mean, they're going to say $60,000 in weed, but at the end of the day, it wasn't nothing but $2,000 of weed at the very most.
yeah, I mean, this is thrown around as a motive in
Yeah.
this case. And you're saying you know it wasn't Kamarian, it wasn't KyShawn.
It was on the video. We knew exactly who it was. It was Memphis, Amir, and Justin. They're not even black. They're not even black. You know what I'm saying? They're not. They're a mixed kid, a Arab kid, and a Mexican kid. You can't mistake them on the video camera of being Sean, who was black. You can't even mistake that.
What happened in that video?
They jumped the fence, threw a brick through the window. They took off running. They ran to the back of the house line, hid basically behind the garage and on the fence line for about 2-3 minutes, and they ran back up to the window. By them running up to the window, Chuck already called his girlfriend Rosalind and let him know what was going on. She turned on some lights, obviously, in the house, and they took off running and jumped the fence and was gone.
So his house was next to yours?
Chuck's house is next to one of my houses not my house on Patriot.
But were they particularly targeting you and Chuck because they seemed to break into?
Yeah, they knew we were both out of town. The year before, and his brothers and a couple of his friends, we took them to the same car show in Florida that we were in that year. They knew we was going to Florida for the car show.
What were they trying to get?
Probably some marijuana.
Yeah.
Nothing else was there for them to get. I mean, some clothes, if they was gonna steal clothes.
Yeah, and again, they use this as a motive. So, I mean, they're saying, you know, Brent was so upset,
Yeah.
hell-bent on getting payback. I mean, first of all, you said this wasn't even those guys, but I mean, were you really upset? I mean, did this really affect
I'm
your
always going to be
stuff?
disappointed because my nephew's involved. Why would my nephew that I basically raised as my own kid? I've taken care of him. When he gets in trouble at school, the school calls me, and I'm the one who goes to the school and disciplines him and goes and has the talks with him, the teachers and all that. I'm the one. I'm more of a parent figure than his parents. So I'm definitely disappointed that my nephew would ever, you know, try to hurt me or try to hurt my friends or break in and steal something from me when they can just ask and I'll give it to them. So I was hurt on that then, but as far as a motive to go and hurt somebody and kill somebody over a little couple pounds of weed, it just don't make no sense to me. You know what I mean? Like, there's plenty of people that owe me money. There's plenty of people, there's plenty of things that's happened to me in the past and I've never killed nobody.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. So at some point, Cruz Garcia tells the police, you know, I called BZ. Was that your nickname?
Yeah, be easy.
So that's legit. That was your nickname. So I called BZ and he said, hey, I got KyShawn and I got Kamarian here. And I don't even think you knew who Kamarian was, but and you said, hold them for me and we'll be there.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Makes no sense.
Why doesn't it make sense?
For one, when he called me, he was calling me for marijuana. He was calling me throughout the whole entire day for marijuana. I was kind of busy during the day, and what he wanted I really didn't have at the time. So he's calling for marijuana during the day. It's no movement. Obviously, you see in this thing, he went to a marijuana dealer and he didn't have the marijuana. Then he called me again, trying to get the marijuana that he had wanted. Oh yeah, the strand. Yeah, the quantity, the strand, where he went, they didn't have. So he called me. When he called me, I told him basically, hey, I'm watching the football game. It's over with for the night. I'll see if one of my buddies will take care of you.
Is that when you said, I'll send bro?
Yeah, that's basically when I said, text me an address, I'll send bro. You know what I mean? I'm going home for the night. I leave my phones at that house every single night when I leave. Other people work them phones. Other people work that house. That was the last conversation that was between us.
Who was bro?
At the time, it was one of my friends from out of town in Detroit. We call him Detroit, you know what I'm saying? He was working the house that night. He was at the house that night. I left the phones with him, and I leave at 10 o'clock.
Yeah. So it wasn't Charles Walker.
No, not at all.
So when he says, Brent said to hold KyShawn there, you didn't need him to hold.
I just seen Sean 2, 3, 4 days ago at the corner store, 3 blocks down from the street. Like, I was pulling up to the corner store, he was walking out the corner store. I had a full conversation with him. You know what I'm saying? I told him, like, you need to stay away from my nephew. My nephew's gonna get you in a lot of trouble. They breaking into all these houses, you know what I'm saying? They running around getting caught with guns and stolen cars and all that stuff. You need to stay away from them. You're not getting in no trouble, stay away from them. And that was our conversation.
Now, did Cruz Garcia ever tell you that KyShawn and Kamarian held up his mom?
They didn't tell me, he didn't tell me that Sean did. He told me Sean's brother did, Zinzin and Zaire or whatever. There's 2 of them, but there was 4 of them all together. He showed us a video of it, you know what I'm saying?
Cruz showed you a video.
Yeah, he showed us a video of them basically breaking into the house. They had cameras on the outside of the house and them breaking into the house, you know what I'm saying? He didn't show us them laying her down. He just told us that's what had happened.
So that motive doesn't even make sense, that Cruz wanted to get back because they held up his mom, right? I mean, what was his motive?
I mean, if you held up my mom at a gunpoint, you would be pretty pissed, wouldn't you?
Right, but you said it wasn't Kamarian.
Oh no, I don't know if it was Kamarian. Like, he thought it was Kamarian, that's for sure. You know what I'm saying? I didn't know his name at the time. You know what I'm saying? It was 4 of them. I know it was Sean. I didn't never even knew Kamarian's name until all this even ever happened. I've never seen Kamarian. I knew him as, when the kids talked about him, as KP. So when Cruz said something, it was probably KP, you know what I'm saying? But I know he said they was trying to figure out, because the kid wore some clothes or some stuff, you know what I mean, that he broke into the house wearing, and he was wearing them on Facebook, or the same clothes or something that he had did.
Did Cruz ever threaten him?
I don't know. I seen when we was at a party earlier in the summertime, a swimming party, he had came up to me and was like, hey, that's one of the kids that broke into my mom's house. We was at one of my real good friends' house, and I told him basically, we ain't gonna have no problems here. You know what I'm saying? You gotta leave. And we basically made Cruz and his brother leave. So.
What was your relationship like with Charles Walker? I mean, who was he in your life?
I met Charles a while back. He rented a house across the street from one of my houses over there, and he had a girlfriend and a family, needed a bigger house, so he ended up moving across the street to one of my houses in a rental house. He's a friend, you know what I'm saying? A good friend. I would say we became good friends over the time. We've been there for 2, 3 years. When you see somebody for 2, 3 years, you become a good friend with them, you know what I mean? Yeah.
Who was Cruz Garcia to you?
Cruz was more of just an associate. I only had met Cruz probably like 8 months ago. I met Cruz at a cookout in the summertime, and he was introduced to me by another friend that he sells a lot of marijuana, and we started doing business.
So he worked for you?
I mean, it goes both ways. Cruz had a lot of connections too, so it would be every now and then I would buy marijuana from some of Cruz's associates.
Yeah. So December 3rd, 2022, I mean, that's been, what, 2.5 years, but what were you doing? Do you remember? You mentioned the football game. I know there's a Big Ten championship.
Yeah, we was watching the football game for a little bit, and then basically it was time for me to go home, like I do every night. I leave 9:30, 10 o'clock, 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock. I'm usually never over there late, and I went home and I finished watching the game.
So talk about that. So this was Chase Street. What did you do up at that house? You said you go home every night, 9:30, 10.
I mean,
why were you hanging out of the house?
I was probably over there taking care of business at the time, or making sure business is running up to par. You know what I mean? I mean, it's a known fact. It's a drug house. I sell a lot of marijuana out the house. but I'm not at the house all the time. You know, it's a lot of people that work the house. It's a lot of, you've seen the evidence and you've seen the video, there's traffic coming in the house all through the night, all through the day. And I'm not there when there's traffic coming in and out. There's traffic coming in and out that house without me being there. So it was time for me to leave. When it gets dark out, it's dangerous out.
So people had keys to that house, right?
There's always a key on the porch.
There's always a key on the porch.
Yeah.
So at 10 o'clock, I mean, the camera shows somebody that looks like you leaving the house. Was that you that got into the red truck?
Yes, sir.
At 10 o'clock, where'd you go?
Home to my house on Patriot.
Did you stay in your house on Patriot?
All night.
With?
My girlfriend, Amber.
And you had mentioned, I think you mentioned this earlier, but other people had phones? You gave other people phones that you worked with?
Them phones are basically known drug phones. They stay at the house, I would say almost 24/7. Like whoever's working the house is working them phones. And phones has been known drug phones for 10 years now. So at any time, you can call that phone and get some marijuana. Somebody's gonna answer that phone, whether it be me, whether it be you, whether it be him. Somebody's gonna answer that phone and make sure you get some marijuana.
So the phones that they were tracking and they were saying were bouncing off of cell towers, you didn't have those phones on you?
No, sir.
So when they say there was a phone 2 miles from the Maumee Avenue house, you were not in possession of that phone?
They never said my phone. The phones that was associated with me was never 2 miles. They said the closest it could have been was 5 miles.
Right.
So,
and you didn't even have it on you?
Never even had the phones on me.
So at some point, Cruz Garcia says you pull up close to the house, you call, and he tells you you need to go over here in the alley where there's no cameras. Did you call Cruz Garcia?
I never had the phones to call Cruz Garcia, and Detective Orlando, the FBI agent, says my phone was never in the alley, never in the area to call him. So how was it possible for me to call him if I was never in the area?
So were Kamarian and KyShawn walked out to you and Charles?
Never enough me, that's for sure. I was at home in Patriot Street.
You didn't beat them, you didn't kick them?
Never would I.
Didn't put them in a trunk?
Never. The DNA shows that there's, how could two beat kids that you guys said you pistol whipped, bloodied, put bags over their head because they was profusely bleeding, hog-tied and thrown in the back of a trunk and drove him from Maumee Street to the other side of town to Toledo, taking lefts, taking rights, stopping and going. There's no DNA in the trunk. How would that even be possible?
So you did not kill Kamarian or
No.
KyShawn?
No. I think the text message, not only was I not there, but the text messages through Don Eve shows that them kids was killed. I'm on Maumee Street.
Why did Cruz Garcia bring you into this?
I mean, I think it was basically the police coerced him to bring me into it. I mean, I was never brung into it. The 3 months after he was arrested. We was arrested a month after he was arrested, or 3 weeks after he was arrested. And we was arrested for no apparent reason. And the police continued to bring our names up until they drilled it in their heads to say it was us.
Do you think the police wanted you, or do you think they wanted Charles?
I mean, I would have to say they would want Charles more than they wanted me, considering that these are the same detectives that was on his case before.
I mean, so take me back to the day when they show up at your house and, you know, they're arresting you. They show up, I'm sure they busted down a door, or I'm not sure.
When they showed up, I honestly thought they was doing a drug raid. So, I mean, I was just being cooperative until they told me it was a murder investigation, or I was being arrested for murder. So then I was pretty dumbfounded and shocked.
Did you ask, who did I murder?
Yeah, they didn't really. They said they would tell me when I got down to the county. They wasn't really disclosing too much what was going on.
And, you know, people make a point of this. You know, we had Cruz Garcia, we had Eames, we had Corbin Gingrich, all these guys. They're talking to the police and they're telling them 18 different stories. You go down there, and I saw the video, you go down there, you say, I'm not talking.
Yeah.
Why do you say that?
I was never speak to the police without my attorney, just like I wouldn't speak to you without my attorney.
Why is that?
It's just the rule of nature.
I mean, this wasn't your first time dealing with police.
Exactly. And every time that I've ever been to the police, the same thing was told. And I would like to speak with my attorney.
So what do you think when they tell me, they tell other people? It's like, well, if he is so innocent, he would have told us.
There's nothing to speak. I don't know nothing about it. So there's not too much to answer or tell when it comes to this situation. At the end of the day, I was at the house. The next day I was at my house, and when the situation was ever even mentioned to me about anything, it was always about Cruz and them. The streets was asking Cruz. I asked Cruz what was going on, you know what I'm saying? And Cruz's answer basically, he had nothing to do with it. And I told him, well, if you ain't have nothing to do with it, why the police still be coming to question you? You know what I'm saying? And he said he didn't know. So I said, I mean, at this point, I think you need an attorney. And I took him down to my attorney. If I would have ever thought I needed an attorney, I would have never gave him my attorney. So that don't even make no sense.
So you gave him your attorney? Who was that?
Pete Ross.
Oh, Pete Ross, yeah. So obviously a couple days after, I think December 5th or something, that Chase Street house goes up. Do you know who owned that house?
Yeah, I knew who owned it. Yeah, I know who owned it.
Was he a motorcycle club guy?
Yes, yeah.
And word had kind of been on the street. I mean, they got a couple tips from informants that, you know, the boys may have been in that house. I mean, were you hearing anything that those guys might have been in that house?
No, we never heard none of that. We didn't have no clue of that.
So the night that went up, you know, police said you were burning clothing, you were burning things in the barrels in the back of your house. Was there a fire in the back of your house in those barrels that night?
I mean, I personally was at my house on Chase, so I don't know what was going on there. But my thing is, if there was something burning there, why didn't they have Chuck's cameras and look in Chuck's cameras and see something burning there? He had cameras on his house the whole time that it would have zoomed in directly on that. And it was never, his cameras were never used for nothing. I don't understand that.
So there may have been a fire in there, but you're saying you weren't at the house.
Yeah, I
when it was
wasn't at
going
the house
on.
to even know if there was a fire. I wasn't there.
So,
Yeah.
so the same thing. You leave every night at like 9:30, 10 o'clock.
Sometimes I'm not even there. Like, I'm not even there every day of my life. I'm not there every day. There's somebody always there working.
Do you know if you were there that day?
Of what day?
December 5th, whenever the house went up.
I definitely wasn't there at nighttime. You could see my truck leave, like in the camera system. You see me leave for the night and not again, don't show up to the next day.
Yeah. Who firebombed that house, do you know?
I don't know. I know I wasn't charged with arson. I know Chuck wasn't charged with arson. Nobody was charged with arson, so I wouldn't have no clue who firebombed the house.
That's interesting, right?
Super interesting. You guys say we burnt the house, or Chuck burnt the house, or he burnt the house. The neighbors said they heard a male and a female voice in the alley, but nobody was never charged with arson.
Do you think Cruz Garcia is behind all this?
I definitely think he is. I have no doubt that he is, you know what I mean? No doubt. After the evidence proves that he is behind it all. You pistol whipped him. You was motive because your mom got pistol whipped by him and robbed by him. All the Crime Stopper tips led to him, his brothers, his friends in Paula's. The police did no investigation on none of them, didn't question none of them. It just don't really make too much sense.
Yeah, I want to ask you about that. When you think about, it was interesting to me that the boys were found in a house next to, houses that you owned. Bringing a lot of police to that area.
Makes no sense.
I was going to ask you, does that make sense to you as someone?
Man, I've been dealing with that neighborhood. I've been owning. I bought my first house in that neighborhood in 2001, 2002. I've been on that in that block, specifically that block, for over 20 years. Look how many police reports ever even came to that block. There's none. We don't get in no trouble. Everything we do has been the same way for years and years to go. You ain't gonna cause no attention to us. Why would I do that? When my whole business is ran out of there. My mom is across the street. My uncle is next door. You know what I'm saying? My nieces and nephews run in and out that street all day, every day long. Wouldn't even make no sense.
So why that house? Why do you think they were put in that house?
I just feel like Cruz knew that house was abandoned, and I feel like he felt safe coming in and out of there because he always went in and out of there.
He always went in and out of that house?
No, I'm saying in and off the block.
Oh, I see.
Yeah. Like he's always in and out. He's familiar, been going over there. He's familiar with the situation.
Do you think he was trying to frame you?
I don't think he was trying to at first. I think it ends up looking like that later on when the heat came down on him, like he can pawn it off on me, I don't think that was his intentions at first. I think he was just trying to get rid of the situation. He felt comfortable with that area.
Especially when Kennedy in jail. Especially when Kennedy keeps me.
Yeah. I mean, the police kind of like brung the situation to, let's throw it on him. Who's Beezy? Who's Brent Kohlhofer? Who's Beezy?
Yeah. Yeah, it seemed like in just listening to the videos that the police may have brought you up first. Is that your understanding?
I know. I've watched the videos numerous of times. They brung it up to Corbin, and Corbin said it was 2 black males that did it, and they said it wasn't Beezy, and he said, no, I know how Beezy is built. They was 2 black males. And then it was 2 black males with a mask, and then it was 2 black males with no mask. Then it was 2 guys with no mask, and then it was us, me and Chuck. The story changed 4 times, maybe 5.
But their story was nobody really ever saw them walked out to you and Chuck besides Cruz, right? I mean, Corbin never saw. I'm trying to remember exactly, but anyhow,
They said Corbin and Graves. Corbin and Gabe walked the kids out. Yeah.
Black with mask, white with no mask.
Yeah.
And then finally.
And then at the end of his testimony, he basically said exactly what Cruz told him to say.
Yeah. So what do you make of the Don Eames text message to his girlfriend saying that, I can't believe you left me in this house where these 2 kids were killed?
I mean, what? You can't say no more than that. Who plays around like that? First of all, I don't joke and text somebody and say you left me somebody where two kids were killed. You don't play around about that. Let alone you text that before the kids were reported missing, before the kids were found dead.
When did you know these kids were dead?
When they found them.
So you hadn't heard anything about Sean? I mean, did you know they were missing and people were looking?
Yeah, of course I knew they were missing. It's my nephew's best friend. You know what I'm saying? Of course I knew they were missing. Knew they were missing 4 days after 5 days when the streets was talking. You know what I mean? They said that Cruz had the kids. Him and his brother had them tied up, torturing them in the basement. They had them somewhere. And I was like over there asking him about the situation. And he was like, no, bro, no, it wasn't nothing like that. Wasn't nothing like that. I'm like, well, the streets is talking, bro. They saying that you and your brother motherfucker did some bullshit to these kids. And he kept denying it. Then the police showed up. Then the police showed up again. So I'm like, it's not too coincidental that the streets is talking and the police are showing up. What's going on?
Was that you that walked out of Cruz Garcia's house, or was that Walker? That there is like, the police went to interview him at one point, and a guy wearing a hood like kind of walked past them. Was that Walker or you?
Yeah, they said it was Walker.
Oh, okay. So you were hearing this on the street that Cruz had done something to the. Now, did you go over and talk to Cruz? I mean, or was this just a course of business that you guys were doing?
Yeah, I was going over there doing some business with him, and when I was over there, I brung it up. You know what I'm saying? I literally had just got a phone call from one of the KP's family members and was asking me about Cruz and Corbin. And I told him, I'm like, I really don't know the Corbin guy. I've only met him a couple times. But Cruz, I'm actually going over there right now. I'm gonna see what's going on. When I went over there, him and his brother was over there, and I brung it up to him. And the brother told me, basically, only reason they'd be saying our name because we done did something like this before. They kidnapped someone before. And I'm like, well, I'm just telling you, the streets is talking, man. And the people that's talking ain't really, you know what I'm saying? They don't really play no games.
Yeah, so the big question seemed to be who these informants were that knew these kids were in that house. You got any guesses on that?
I never even, I didn't see no informants on the situation. I read all the Crime Stopper reports and all this and all that, and I didn't see nothing to say nothing about that situation. So I don't even know where that came from. It never was brought up at trial. I don't know.
So when you talked to Cruz Garcia and said, hey, the streets are talking, did he even tell you that, hey, yeah, I ran into him, I knocked him in the head?
No.
He didn't say anything?
He didn't say nothing. Nothing like that.
Just denied it?
Just denied it.
Because his story, of course, is that, hey, he went over there to talk to Brent and Chuck, and like, what happened to these guys? And don't worry, they got cremated.
Yeah, he says this, and it's a crazy situation because in trial, his testimony was, he came over there the next morning, we was talking about it, we made him nervous, and he left. But you see on the video, he was there before I was there. I pull up, I run in the house for 5-6 minutes, I grab my dude, we leave, he's still there. I come back, he's still there. I run in the house for another 4 or 5 minutes. I leave, he's still there. He don't leave till after I leave. But his testimony was that me and Chuck made him nervous and he got scared and left. He was there the whole time before I was there and after I was there. So once again, it makes no sense.
Do you think Chuck was involved in this at all?
I don't think Chuck was involved at all. No.
So what was it like during trial? I mean, you've obviously got to sit there and listen to people say these things. Was that very difficult for you?
Very difficult, very nerve-wracking. Motions up and down. I felt my lawyer did a great job at getting the truth out of everybody. And at the end of the day, I thought we won the trial. I mean, it wasn't really, Cruz lied numerous times on the trial. Brandon exposed his lies. Sergeant Kennedy admitted to saying that no one ever brought my name up but him. Corbin admitted at the end that basically only thing he knew is what Cruz told him to say. FBI Orlando, the cell phone expert, said the cell phones were never in the area, so boom. The coroner person, they said they was duct tape. He said there was never no signs of duct tape. They said that game cord was taken off and left there for us to duct tape them, but they was found with a game cord with their DNA on them at the burn scene. So it's not really, other than that, our names was really not too much brung up during the trial.
So what were you thinking whenever the jury went back to deliberate?
I was thinking it was not guilty and I was coming home.
So what were you thinking whenever they're reading the charges and they're like, guilty?
I almost passed out and fell to the floor. My knees got weak. I felt they got it completely wrong. I don't even understand how they got it right at all. There was no physical evidence, no DNA evidence. The cell phone evidence says we wasn't in the area. And you're basically found a guilty plea on 2 liars that lied multiple times, that changed their story multiple times. Every time a piece of discovery packet came in, they changed their story to try to match it up with the next man's story. I don't know, man. We called Don to the stand to testify. I mean, it was part of his plea agreement not to testify. I don't know. It's just a sad situation. It's a sad situation all the way around the board. You got 2 dead kids, one that I seen every day and had love for around the situation, and I'm in prison for something that I could never commit and never do. And my family's hurting just as much as any other family. I'm the provider for my family, and I'm in jail fighting for my life and hoping and praying that I get an out date.
You know, I've talked to a lot of people, not surprisingly, but I've talked to a lot of people in similar situations to you, and they talk about the trial, and they always say, man, I really wanted to get up on that stand and testify, but of course, I mean, no good attorney ever is going to let their client go up there and do that. But if you could have gone up on the stand, I mean, what would you have wanted to say?
It wasn't me. I think the evidence proves it wasn't me. It's not really too much to say. You can ask me questions just like you're asking me questions, and I'm going to answer them truthfully and honestly and be straightforward with the situation. It could have never been me.
Now, Brent, you weren't a choir boy when this happened. And people are going to look at this, they're like, why should I believe Brent Kohlhofer? Why should I believe anything you're telling me?
Why wouldn't you believe me? There's no evidence saying I did anything in this situation. There's none. Like, I have no reason to lie. I'm not a violent person. I don't run around. I run a business, and a successful business, I would like to say, from my point of view, financially stable. There's no motive. Why would I hurt 2 people that had nothing to do with a window being broken out? Why? Make it make sense.
And you could find Sean whatever you
Yeah, like, I can find Sean. He walks up and down my street every day. He lives 3 blocks down the street. It's not hard to find. Why would I hurt a kid I never even seen before or heard of? I'm just killing kids? Makes no sense. I donate money to the schools. I do a fundraiser every year and donate $2,000-$3,000 of clothes and toys to Chase Elementary for the last 3-4 years. I've done that. Every Halloween, I make sure I donate $200-$300 to the Ohio Theater when they do the kid thing over there on the South End, when they do the backpack drive and all that. I donate plenty of stuff to the kids and all that on a daily basis. I take these kids out of town with me. I make sure they got work and money in their pockets, and I make sure they got food at all times. So you're just saying I'm killing kids? Like, it just makes no sense.
Why did you do that for the kids? I mean, why was that important?
I don't have no kids of my own. So I like kids. I love kids. You know what I'm saying? My nieces and nephews go through a lot. You know what I mean? They don't have stable parents. You know what I'm saying? So it just comes natural. Like, I've been in Chase my whole life in the neighborhood, which is a pretty crime-infested neighborhood, and I watch the kids walk up and down the streets at 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock at night with no food. You know what I'm saying? Shouldn't no kid have to deal with that. I'm pretty financially stable and well off to help provide and help out them as much as I can.
Right. And you talk about business. Obviously, you're a drug dealer. So the police are going to be like, well, this is a drug dealer. He had to make a statement. You're not going to... Is this something, if somebody had stolen from you, that would even go through your head, that there's got to be payback here?
Man. A broken window? We're talking about a $150 broken window. There's no way possible.
But the police came and raided.
$2,000 a week. Man, I'm not trying to be funny or brag or nothing like that, but it's not even that's not even. I go on my boat 4 times a weekend and put $200 of gas in my boat every time I go on my boat 4 times a week. You know what I mean? What's $200? $2,000? It's not enough. It's not enough.
Were you a violent person?
Never. I don't have a domestic charge on me. I don't have nothing. I have a felony for assault in 2012 that my co-defendant took out for, and they basically made me take the plea because they put so much time over my head. So I took the 60 days in Stryker because of the situation. My co-defendant did all that. I was at a bar, it was a fight going on, and I just happened to be with him when a fight happened. I've never had a violent crime in my life.
So, I mean, you're sitting here in Lebanon right now, and
I have no violence in here. None.
But, I mean, you're sitting here, and, I mean, the court has said you're going to spend here the rest of your life, no chance of parole.
Tough, horrible pill to swallow. I'm so stressed out and praying that this outcome and this appeal is overturned, and I make it home to my family. It's like my support system is great. They keep me focused and keep me level-headed, and I just pray. That's all I can do.
What will you do if you get out?
Sit on my couch for a nice period of time and just enjoy my dog and my girlfriend and the kid and be with my mother, and that's it at this time. My plans is just to be able to get freedom. I got to get there first.
Yeah. This is your chance to make a final statement. I mean, tell people what you want them to know. I mean, I've heard you called a monster. I've heard you called lots of things. I mean, a lot of really bad things. I mean, people think you did this.
I mean, you're gonna think somebody did something when you ain't seen all the evidence and you ain't seen all the statements and you ain't seen from the outside looking in. Of course I'd be considered a monster. Who wouldn't? You would be too. This is a horrible situation from the outside looking in. But if you know the facts and know me personally, you know I'm not a monster. There's nothing that could trick my mind to telling me I'm a monster. There's no way possible. It's just none. It's none.
And I guess this will be the last thing I ask you, but tell me what you think happened.
I mean, I think them guys that was drunk and under the influences of marijuana and alcohol and a situation over on Maumee Street where there was 4 or 5 grown adults and 2 extras on the side, got out of hand and did what they did. I personally can't tell you. My thoughts is that whatever happened at that house in Maumee. I think it's evidence speaks for itself. Text messages speaks for itself. The pistol whipping speaks for itself. What never got out in court was Don said in his interview that Corbin and Carissa made numerous trips over to Maumee Street and burnt all the evidence in the basement at their mom's house. Police say that the crime scene was never clean, but there wasn't a couch down there wasn't a bed down there wasn't a throw rug down there. It was an empty room. So how do you say something wasn't cleaned, but there's nothing in there? It's completely empty. It's pretty clean to me. The text messages, like I said, explains itself. You don't just make up, you left me somewhere where 2 people just died if they didn't die there. You don't play around like that. You don't mess around like that. You don't make stuff up like that if that didn't happen. There's not too much more I can really say.
Well, yeah.